If you run a locksmith business, Google Ads can be an absolute goldmine for you because a lot of folks, when they're locked out of their car or their house, they're not going to be doing a mega amount of research or maybe bookmark you for later. They're ideally looking for someone to call and get help right away. So if you do Google Ads correctly and you're showing at the top of the page, you have a very good and high converting landing page and all your traffic is relevant, then Google Ads can be a very profitable marketing avenue for your business. So just a quick little glimpse here at my overall manager account. So I run Google Ads for local home service, local service in general, I guess, and some e-commerce businesses. So just this year so far, only the first few months of the year, I'm responsible for over 6,000 conversions for my clients. So that's going to be phone calls, form fill outs, and then again for my few e-commerce clients, going to be purchases or sales. And then overall responsible for almost $400,000 in conversion value for my clients just this year so far. All right, so jumping into Google Ads, if you go to ads.google.com and you don't already have an account, you're just gonna have to set up. It's gonna ask you, simple questions about your business, whatnot, and then it's gonna bring you here. Also keep in mind, there's gonna be a lot of things Google's gonna try to do to, get their reps to talk to you or start you in, smart campaign mode, all that stuff. I would skip all that, tell Google you're an expert and come here just so you can actually set up and manage a campaign properly. So before I get started into this is a lot. If setting up a campaign and just letting it run was, gonna be the key to success for businesses on the Google Ads side, then I wouldn't be making this video because I wouldn't have an agency. So really making your Google Ads work to their fullest capability does take daily management. So if you want me to run your ads for you, I have a link in my description for you where you can fill out my form and I'll call you back within 5 minutes and we can chat about your needs and wants, and we can see if we can work together and I can just take over all this for you. But for those of you who want to do this on your own or at least want to learn, this video is for you. So I'm in my Google Ads account. There are multiple different places where you can go to actually make your campaign. So it's here, there's here, or you can even go here and click on this. So doesn't matter which one you do. We're going to click on new campaign. All right, because the primary way of you going to be getting, these users from Google and actually getting them to call you is going to be from a search campaign, right? So we're going to want people that are looking up your services and are in need, and we want them to find you. So if this is a brand new Google Ad account, which I'm assuming it is, or honestly, if you've been doing the ads yourself, you probably don't have conversion tracking set up correctly. So I would recommend starting with website traffic always, because there's no need to go for leads because you don't have enough data for Google to be able to help you, find more of those people because you don't have any people yet. For conversion action, I'm just using my personal account, so mine's a lead form. For you, it'd probably be a lead form and a call, primarily a call, but conversion action, setting up conversions is going to be a different video. So let's not worry about that. So the campaign type, again, we're going to want to go to search. That is the main thing we need here. And then for your website, I actually just found a good looking local locksmith. So I'm just going to go ahead and use them as this example. I do not work with that company. They look like a great company, but just a good example I wanted to find for you guys on Google. So the campaign name can be as simple as you want. This is all just for you. But what I would do is I would just do, if it's just going to be locksmith, like just one service, no need to put catch-all or, we're not going to have multiple different ad groups necessarily quite yet. So I'm just going to put locksmith. I'm just going to go to clicks. And let's just say that we're just in Scottsdale. So I'm just going to put my location. And then, of course, for my agency, just for me to keep better track of these campaigns when you have several, that is my naming convention. But again, it's always going to help just making those names super simple for you to read. But again, if you're doing this yourself, you're only managing this one campaign, not the end of the world. So again, for bidding, we're going to want to go to clicks. Go ahead and click next here. Going to want to turn these off. Google Display and search partners. We don't really want to be on the sides of other websites, being back in front of people. That's just a good way for Google to spend your money. Again, we don't really need to be reminding people that, hey, you're locked out, call us. We want people who are actually looking to take action now. And then again, this is just Google's way of just always making sure that they will spend your money. So if you want to do a display campaign and, show ad images, just specifically, do a Performance Max or a Demand Gen. So go down here to location options. Make sure you click on that people that are in or regularly in your locations. We don't want any people who are interested in visiting Scottsdale. Okay, we want people who are actually in that area. And then always go to enter another location here. Go to advanced search, and then this is going to kind of be up to you, of course, on where does your business, how far do your guys travel, to do your services, like where are your limits, right? So what I recommend is one, I can always, let's just say if we are going to do Scottsdale, I can just include Scottsdale, right? Sure, but look at how dramatic of a difference this is, like all the way up here in Cave Creek down to like South Old Town, like that's a pretty far drive. So what I recommend doing, and of course, this is just going to be all on you. This is not something I can really help with, but I would just go by zip code or neighborhood. And, or if you're like, hey, we have a certain shop and we only go 20 miles within that, then you can just go ahead to radius and type in that address and do 20 miles. That'll work too. But if you have certain areas and you don't know all the zip codes and neighborhoods, I would go to show all areas right here. Then you can use you press control and you scroll, or you can press this plus and minus. And what you can do is you can actually select little neighborhoods and zip codes. Like let's say you guys operate here, you go to here, you go to here, right? So instead of you ended up, I guess this one brought all the way up here. So you could be more precise with this click, but what I'm trying to get at is you can be a lot more precise on where where your company travels for the services instead of just choosing Scottsdale as a whole. So I will leave that up to you. And also for locations, I always go ahead and exclude Mexico, especially being right here in Arizona. And if you're in Southern California, you don't want any traffic coming from Mexico. So let's just go ahead and remove that. I always remove Canada as well, just to be safe. And then I do just kind of generalize and kind of exclude some countries over here as well, just to make sure that we're reducing any kind of spam. Oh, not Indiana. Sorry about that. India. Remove India. And then I also remove Pakistan. And then what I do is I just go ahead and click save. And then that's going to save those locations. So go ahead, scroll down. Nothing you really need to do with any of this. The one thing I would say though, because you are a local service business, is I would do your ad schedule, right? So let's say you guys are open from 8 to 8 or whatever your hours may be. I would go ahead and, click on this right here and then go ahead and make sure that you add these. Like let's say, Mondays to Fridays, the weekends, etc., or, a day at a time. Because there are going to be people who are locked out of their house at midnight and they are going to need that call. But if you are not available at that time and you're running ads and someone's calling you at midnight and you return the call in the morning, chances are they're probably still not waiting outside. I guess there is a chance that they can't find anyone, but they're probably just going to call until they find the solution so they don't, sleep outside or, have to get a hotel room. So that is up to you, but I would recommend just running ads during the times that you're actually taking calls and your crew is taking those service calls. So let's go ahead and go to next. So this right here is Google's way of just like, hey, give us your URL, which we did already. We're going to help you make some stuff. We're just going to go ahead and skip that because we want to be in control of all of that. So for Locksmith, or I guess I should say for most service-based businesses, there are multiple different types of service. Like for asphalt paving, let's say you do crack seal, seal coat, commercial, residential. Okay, those are 4 different services. So that is an example of something that we would split into multiple different ad groups. Okay, so your ad groups are in your campaign and your keywords are attached to your ad groups. So if a keyword is triggered, then it'll be showing ads that are inside that ad group, right? So we want to make sure that all of our keywords that we're advertising for and inside these, service grouped ad groups are going to be highly relevant, right? So we don't want anyone seeing commercial asphalt paving when someone's looking up, like small residential patching, because that just doesn't make any sense, right? So we want to separate these. So I don't know what services, you may have for your locksmith business, but like, let's say, yeah, right. Automotive, residential, and commercial. Perfect. That's a great way. And the great thing I would do, actually, I would just split those up between, 3 ad groups, assuming that you do want to advertise for all of those. But let's just stick with residential for now. This is not, it's an okay landing page. I actually thought it would be a little bit better. So a big part of, making a good return and making Google Ads a very profitable marketing system for your business is going to be having a very strong landing page that converts at a high rate. So something that's an emergency service like this and like plumbing or like emergency HVAC repair, those clicks can be expensive. And if you're not converting, at least 1 in 5 and your conversion rate is under 20%, those costs are going to get high to acquire these customers. So in my opinion, if I was directly looking for, I'm locked out of my house, locksmith near me, and I see this page, this is really not the kind of guys that I would call, to be honest. This page doesn't look as good as this does right here. But I know this is obviously their main homepage, but I would bring more of these things into that landing page. And part of what I do for my clients is I actually make the landing page for them because I know the impact it has. So that is something that I would do for you. So you don't have to try and crack this code on your own. But let's say that we are going to do residential. We want people, to be going to this residential page. So let's just make sure that that's where people are going. They're not just going to go to our homepage. They're going to go here. But first, we need to find our keywords. All right. So when it comes to finding out what keywords you're going to use for these ad groups, the best thing to do is you can either use the Google Ads Keyword Planner. That is a free tool, free for anyone. But I like to use a third-party tool. And the reason why is because I like to look up, the base keyword and then get more options and receive more options, right? Because I need a little bit of help on the creative. So if I just put in that base keyword, it gives me more alternatives. So We were going to focus on residential for this one ad group, but then I quickly realized that there wasn't a lot of people in Scottsdale, Arizona specifically, looking up the technical terms such as residential locksmith. Let's just go locksmith near me, just for the example here. And what we would do, okay, near me. So this one necessarily doesn't have to be residential because, again, I already did the research. There's not a lot of technical terms for this. Let's just go locksmith, catch all. So this is just going to be for locksmith in general, and then we will kind of let people decide what they need. So a good page for these guys would actually be to bring them to this homepage, because it says, hey, are you looking for a locksmith? Here we have automotive, residential, commercial, because in my research, again, not a lot of people were looking up very specific, except right here, car, auto, car, mobile, but these only have 40, 100 searches a month. But these ones right here, combined are going to have about 3,000 or more if you combine everything. So that is not too bad. So let's go ahead and do locksmith near me, locksmith close to me. So what we're going to do here, and here's the way that I look at keywords, right? There's three types, right? There's broad, exact, and phrase. And the exact match keywords want us to look up that exact thing for your ads to pop up and trigger that keyword. Phrase means it has to include the phrase. So if you just did locksmith, and if someone looked up locksmith near me, that would still be included because it had the original phrase of locksmith. And then broad is like basically anyone looks up anything about locksmiths and you'll come up. So someone even could be looking up like, how do I become a locksmith? And your ads could come up. So you have to be really careful with that and add negative search terms. But what I like to do for local home service is I like to do exact. I like to do honestly a combination. So here's what I'm going to do. So let's just do for exact. Let's just do locksmith near me. Perfect. That's exact. So if someone looks up locksmith near me exactly, then your ads will come up. But you see this cost per click is pretty high. And then sometimes when you do these exact match keywords, those are the most expensive. So this is where you have to do some testing. And I would start with this, or honestly, you could even start with broad match keywords and just do locksmith near me or emergency locksmith and just leave it at that. But you have to be watching the traffic and making those negative keywords like crazy. So you do have a chance at getting, lower cost per clicks by doing that. But just for the sake of this video, I'm just going to, set it up the standard way. And I guess how Google used to want you to do it. Now they want you to use broad because, of course, it spends more of your money. So that's why you have to be very careful. So if you guys are going to be doing this yourself, you're working in the field, you're doing all the, the work yourself, you're servicing clients, you're going to probably want to stick to these types of keywords just because it is a little bit lower maintenance for you. But let's just do locksmith. I'm just going to do locksmith. So that's just going to be the phrase match. So if anyone looks up, locksmith close to me, locksmith Scottsdale, that's going to come up as well. So just make sure that you're watching that. And then for this, honestly, there's really not, a huge variety of keywords. So no one's even looking up necessarily the location. Emergency locksmith will still come up. Of course, if you want to do other services like key making and key duplication, I would make that another ad group. But honestly, and depending on your budget too, like let's say you want to spend one to 5,000 a month, just these keywords alone are actually probably going to do you just fine. So you can even add more if you really wanted to, like emergency or auto, again, for whatever you want to do it for. But again, I would make sure that you're going to be sticking to, if you're going to do an ad group that has everything, then make sure it just has everything. So let's just also do one. Someone had a space here, so let's make sure that gets picked up. So that's what we will do. And then again, we don't want people necessarily going to that residential because we ended up going for this catch-all. So we want people just going here to this homepage, and let's just do locksmith. Let's do Scottsdale locksmith. Okay. This is just a display path. So it just shows this, these few words after the link. Google says in the future that they want to actually make that convention of, making it easier for people to find you. They're going to use that in their ad targeting, etc. So don't worry too much about that. So again, we're going to be playing the role as if this is, our company that we're going to be running ads for. And so here's how I come up with ad copy. So a couple of these are okay. Google sometimes, or they always give you suggestions, but they're not always very good. I always just like to have a huge variety of these headlines, but these are actually okay. But what I like to do is I like to sweep the landing page, because the congruency that you have between your landing page copy and your ad copy actually helps a lot. And it can give you a higher quality score and ad ranking, which will help you get clicks for a better price, help you show up more at the top, be more competitive on like the actual quality side, not just the budget side. So I would sweep this page. You can use ChatGPT. You can be creative on your own. It just all depends on how you want to do it. But I would just make sure that you have, a very large array of ad copy, just so you're, appealing to everyone. So I like to use emotional, expertise, For this, technology wouldn't really be it, and local, and and social proof. I guess that's 5. Those are the big ones I like to use. I like to incorporate all those things in all my ads. So like looking for locksmith services is okay, but like assistance anytime, anywhere, like that's a really good one if that fits. Okay, perfect. Right, so you can only use 30 characters here, but that one is a really good one. And again, if you're going to make everything at the start have a capital letter, then just make sure you follow through with that. I'm not going to give you a ton of examples here, but again, follow those 5 things I said, and then you will do great. Right, here's an example of expertise in social proof. Right, serving the community since 2009. Again, you might have to fidget with some of these. Right, like this one right here might have to do. Even that one's too long, but like proudly serving since 2009. Right, there's all kinds of variations you can do of that to make that fit. Family owned, open 6 days a week, and then right here something like the emotional. Right, obviously this is a long one, but you can add those in for these descriptions as well. So the descriptions are 90 characters, right? This one right here, Sundial, the top rated local locksmith near you, providing fast, reliable services. That's great. That's a good one. Google automatically generated that. I know Sundial is a very large company. But yeah, again, so just sweep your landing page, get all the good stuff you want in here. Obviously, make sure you also include your call to actions, like call now, we're here to help now, we can be there in 30 minutes. All those are really good, right? You really want to answer all the questions that someone could be asking themselves when they're looking for, hey, who do we call for a locksmith? You want someone fast, you want someone nearby, you want someone affordable, etc. Right? All that stuff. And then someone who's been doing it for a long time. If it's someone coming to your house and they're going to have a key to your house, or they're going to open your house for you, you want someone that you can trust and rely on. So this company looks very reliable, in my opinion. So I'm not going to do all this ad copy for you, but that's just all the things that I would bring down. And then for images here, the images you've probably seen, these are right here next to your Google ads. So some here for this would be a good image. These ones wouldn't make so much sense. This is a good image, showing employees working with a smile that brings friendliness. All those types of images are good. Something like this is really good as well. So just make sure you have some images in there. Your business name, of course, so you don't just come up as a website, but you'll come up as, obviously mine's Eberhard Media Marketing, but you come up as Sundial Locksmith. Add your logo so it's shown here. And then site links, you've probably seen, they just, they come down under your ads. I always like to use that because it covers up more real estate. So you get more space than you would if you just ran the ads. Again, you're just covering up more space on that page. So for something like this, especially if we're going to be running this catch-all, I would have a site link that brings people to residential, automotive, key duplication, etc., just to kind of to give them that option. So now when they looked up locksmith, now they're not just going to your homepage, but now they can actually see those options too. So call outs are little gimmies too. You've probably seen them right here. They're just like 1 or 2 words after your description, like call now, fast service, cheapest in town, serving since 09, like all that little stuff. It's just little gimmies. Of course, I like to add all that. Always add your phone number too. So if someone just looks you up on Google, they can just call right from ads. If you have any promotions, always add those as well. But then that's pretty much everything you have to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to next. This is where you'd put your daily budget. Of course, Google's always going to want you to spend a lot of money. But if you want to spend $1,000 a month, that's $33 a day. $2,066 a day. Like it just keeps going, right? So of course, always put this to what you want. I'm not going to go ahead and, actually publish this campaign because this isn't my company. My Google ad account will probably get banned for that. But again, there are a lot of ways to do all this stuff, and, monitoring it and making it successful really does take an expert and does take really full-time hands-on experience. So if you've made it this far and you're like, all this sounds really good, but I don't know how to do conversion tracking even, I don't have time to make all these negative keywords, the cost per click is going to be too high. We need someone, to be monitoring it and get it cheaper and be putting those bid limits. I need a killer landing page. Well, again, I would love to do all this for you. I run Google Ads for dozens of local home service businesses, all in all industries, basically. I was going to list them, but there would be too many and that would be a waste of time. So I have the link in the description for you if you want to fill out my form on my website, and I will give you a call personally on my cell phone, and we will see what we can do together. But that is how you can set up and start running and get visible on Google for your locksmith business. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon.